My name is Emily. I'm 27 years old. I have some bad memories. I never thought such dangerous things could happen to me. I got lost in this path I entered for financial support. I am still struggling to overcome the impact of what I went through. Even though I wasn't responsible, I bore all the suffering. They lived in luxury while I endured hardships. I want to start by briefly telling you about my life. I was born and raised in Houston. My family moved from a rural area to the city center before I was born. So, I am a modern woman, accustomed to city life. At 21, I married Alex, the son of our neighbor from the apartment we lived in at the time. Alex was 4 years older than me, and my childhood sweetheart. I wasn't indifferent to him either, but I didn't show it until we got married. My father suddenly said, "I gave her away," and everyone saw my face light up. My eyes sparkled, and I had a triumphant smile. After marrying Alex, everything went well for a while. We were grateful, and God blessed us. Then a disaster struck, and that disaster would be the beginning of everything. Alex worked at a factory. His salary wasn't bad, but the work was tough. He carried heavy metal all day, and his legs, arms, and back constantly ached. He was physically worn out. Although he earned a decent wage, no money could replace lost health. That disaster was health-related. Alex had an accident at the factory and became wheelchair-bound. He needed surgery to walk again, but the state wouldn't cover the cost. I was crying, unable to sleep for even a minute. Seeing my beloved husband in a wheelchair pierced my heart like a shrapnel piece. Daily chores became much harder. Besides cooking, laundry, and ironing, I had to care for my husband, which was very difficult for me. I was a woman with limited physical strength. Lifting my husband was nearly impossible for me. Therefore, my father-in-law and brothers-in-law constantly came to help. They tried to gather the surgery money, but the amount they collected was only enough for a new wheelchair. Everyone realized the money wouldn't be enough, and there was a silence. It was up to me. I had to work, save money, and cover my husband's surgery expenses. I took on all the responsibility. I couldn't have any excuses. I started searching for a job everywhere. After trying and quitting a few jobs, I finally thought I found a suitable job in retail. I started working as a sales associate at a famous store. There were 3 girls and 4 boys working with me, a total of 7 people. The job didn't tire me out. Whenever I asked a question, they made faces. Our manager was the worst. He was a man, and despite me being a woman, he was very harsh with me. He didn't understand courtesy, respect, or tolerance. I worked among these lazy, dissatisfied, and grumpy people for months. If I didn't desperately need the money, I wouldn't have stayed a second, but I had to. I saved my earnings in gold coins in a box, and seeing this made my husband very happy. His prayers and good wishes kept me going. I continued going to work, fighting through everything. Meanwhile, some strange things caught my attention. For example, the manager was very harsh with me, but very soft with the other 3 women. Those women were always in the manager's office drinking coffee. But if I asked for permission to go to the restroom, it caused an argument. The men, on the other hand, were silent, minding their own business. I was also very successful at my job, but I sensed something was off. I'm very curious by nature. If I see something wrong, I have to investigate it. I did the same at the store. I tried to understand why those 3 women were so close to the manager and why they held a grudge against me. Now, some might find what I did wrong, but I'm like this in everything I'm involved in. I started secretly listening to the manager and the women. I also secretly watched them. Sometimes during breaks, if their phones were charging, I would check them out, but I didn't find anything significant. These 4 were so meticulous that understanding their schemes was going to be very difficult. I realized that secretly listening to and watching people wouldn't help, so I let things flow. I decided not to care about anything anymore. One Saturday, my day off, I woke up and made breakfast for my husband. I loved him so much and felt so sorry for his situation that I wanted to feed him before myself. After feeding my husband, I realized I had forgotten my charger at work. I called my brother-in-law to take care of my husband and went to work. When I entered the store, I saw only one male colleague at the counter. I was very angry and asked, "Where are the others? Why did they leave you alone here? I've never seen such lazy people in my life." He replied, "The manager is having a special meeting with the women, so they didn't include me. I know I'm treated like an animal, but honestly, Emily, I don't care. I just earn my money and leave." He said exactly that. I was furious about the meeting and quickly went to the storage room to get my charger. I was determined to confront them about why they were doing this. As I approached the manager's office, I heard some strange noises. When I got to the door, I saw the manager and the three women naked, engaging in sexual activity. Naturally, I couldn't hide my shock and screamed. They all saw me. They dressed hurriedly, and the manager said, "Sweetie, you misunderstood everything. Come, sit with us and let's talk." I was so shocked that I couldn't respond logically. So I did what the manager said. I sat with them and the manager started talking. This was the most disgusting conversation I've ever heard in my life. The manager, looking straight into my eyes, said, "You know I'm the manager here, the head. Whatever I want happens. Everything I desire comes to me, whether it's food, clothing, or sex. If you want to advance in this store and have a career, you need to be with me. Look, these three friends are with me, and in 2 months I'll promote them to assistant manager. Don't you want that? You'll earn twice your current salary and spend all day with me. Don't miss this opportunity." As soon as he finished his sentence, with a stern tone and expression, I replied, "Mr. Manager, we didn't find our honor on the street. Don't compare me to the cheap women you hire. Even if you chop off my head, I won't let you touch me. I'm married, and I'd rather die than let anyone but my husband touch me." The manager got angry as soon as he heard this and started swearing at me. The women supported him. All 4 of them walked towards me, hurling insults. I couldn't stand it and cried. Crying, I left the store with my bag in one hand and my charger in the other. When I got home, I tried so hard not to let my husband and brother-in-law notice anything. I put on an award-worthy performance. The next day, I was thinking about how I would go to work when a notification on my phone distracted me. It was a message from the manager. I opened it immediately. "Come tomorrow and sign your resignation. I can't deal with you. Get lost. If you don't leave, I'll make your life hell here. You'll have no choice but to quit." Out of fear and desperation, I accepted. I hadn't fully saved up for my husband's surgery. I was still working, but I had no more patience. I went to the store, signed my resignation, and told the manager, "This isn't over. I'll go to the police. Everyone will know everything. You'll beg me for that message you sent." The manager grabbed my throat and started threatening me. He forced me to delete all the messages and said that if I did anything, I could lose my life. My legs were shaking with fear. I accepted everything the manager said and left crying. I was alone, scared, and very desperate. I couldn't tell my husband anything because he had enough problems. Knowing this would break him even more. I told everyone I got fired because I had a fight with a customer. Everyone criticized me, of course. They said I had no choice but to work since my husband was in a wheelchair, but no one knew what I was going through. They were only concerned with the tip of the iceberg. Meanwhile, the threats hadn't stopped. The manager and those 3 women constantly threatened me, either sending messages or cornering me if they saw me alone outside. It was a curse. Even after leaving the job, troubles followed me. I was getting worse. My hair was falling out and I was vomiting every day. I was very tense. Every night I waited for my husband to sleep so I could cry. This was truly living death. My husband noticed the changes in me and one night pretended to sleep. Thinking he was asleep, I started crying. He turned to me and said, "What's happening to you? Why are you like this? In the last 4 months, you've wasted away. You quit your job, lost weight, your hair is falling out. What's happening to you?" I couldn't hold it in anymore and told him everything. Hearing this, my husband went mad and immediately informed his brothers and father without even waiting for the morning prayer. As soon as the store opened, my husband's brothers and father went to confront the manager. That day marked my downfall. The manager had warned me that if I went to the police or if anyone else heard about the incident, bad things would happen. I didn't take it seriously, but that day I realized how seriously I should have taken it. The manager used a photo editing program to create fake nude photos of me and presented them as if I had taken them. He showed these fake photos to my husband's family. The women who were involved with the manager also defended him, trying to ruin my reputation. While I was sleeping peacefully, unaware of everything, my father-in-law woke me up with a slap. As soon as I woke up, I was bombarded with curses and insults. It didn't take long to understand what was going on, but by then, it was too late. What hurt me the most was not the false accusations, but my husband's belief in them and his standing against me. This betrayal felt like a dagger in my heart. Within a week, my husband divorced me and sent me back to my parents' house. Even though I returned to my parents' house, my reputation was already ruined. No one listened to me. Even if I tried to explain, they would blame me. I had to take action, something I had never done and was hesitant to do before. When my husband kicked me out, he threw the gold I had saved for his surgery at me and said, "Take your dirty money. You lost your honor to earn this. May God damn you." I sold the gold and went to the police. I explained everything in detail and filed a lawsuit. With the money from the gold, I hired the best lawyer in town. The legal process lasted a year. During this time, I continued to receive threats from the manager and the women. My family was on the verge of disowning me, but I didn't care about anything. At the end of the year, the store manager was sentenced to prison for fraud, blackmail, threats, and sexual harassment. The women received fines. 2 of the women were married. One was beaten publicly by her husband and humiliated. The other got divorced immediately. You might think that things turned out well for me, but sadly, only these people were punished. Nothing else went well. I was so in love with my husband, but he was no longer my husband. He still didn't believe me, even after seeing all the legal documents and talking to my lawyer. Alex, the man I loved more than my own life, didn't believe me. It was as if he had sworn not to believe. I tried so hard, but I was exhausted. Everyone has a breaking point, and mine was reached. Miss Laura, we tried to save our husband. We wanted him to walk again, and in the process, we messed everything up. The bad guys finally got what they deserved, but I didn't get my happy ending. After the trial, I hoped to return to my old life with my husband, but it didn't happen. I continued living as a burden in my parents' house. We moved to another part of Houston. 2 years ago, I went to stay with a relative in the area where these events happened. I saw my ex-husband in the market holding hands with another woman. To avoid being seen, I hid behind a tree and cried as soon as I turned away. My husband had the surgery and could walk again. He was with his new wife. According to my relatives, his wife was pregnant. May God bless them. It wasn't meant to be for me. They say those who break up homes will have their homes broken. I wish them well, but my love, never forget, even if one day you walk alone on the road of despair, on a foggy night covered in wounds and bruises, I will always be with you. For now, goodbye, my love. Thank you for listening to me. Yes, friends, I shared the life story of our listener Emily with you today. She told us about the very unfortunate events she went through and how she cleared her name despite all the injustices. But unfortunately, the man she loved never believed her. Sometimes life is like this, you know? You do everything for the ones you love, but one day it might not be enough. So remember, friends, no matter what, love yourself and remind yourself that you are the most valuable person in your life. Remind yourself of this often and don't ruin your life for someone else. This could be your family, your spouse, or your child. Fulfill your duties and responsibilities. Don't hurt them, but please don't forget yourself. Life has taught us that someone who doesn't respect themselves won't get anything from others. So no matter what, take good care of yourself, friends. And if you have confessions like Emily that you want to share with me, if you have things that you want to say to feel better, please contact me. Stay with love. Goodbye.